I introduced you and Rita, and everybody's here. And so now
Okay.
we'll start with you, Victor.
Okay.
You can start talking about where you are and the vineyard. Okay.
Okay. So uh, I'll put this on the other phone now, on the other camera. So this is our vineyard in Porto Alegre. Porto Alegre is a mountain in Alentejo. We're 600 meters high, and this is the plot. So this is a field blended 90-year-old vineyard. We're based in clay and a granite mountain, and well, the story is short, but and in 2010 I came to this place to look for a vineyard where I could buy some grapes to start some wine, to try to do some wine. And this was the plot I found. I knocked on the door of the owner. I asked to buy some grapes, and well, 10 years after, I knocked on their door with my wife Rita, and we bought the vineyard and the site. I was a chef in the meantime. I had my own restaurant, and I closed it. I closed them down 3 years ago. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good. You're good. We hear you clearly. You can keep talking.
Okay. So we'll go around this small plot, and I'll show you side of our new on the way cellar. So we were talking minutes ago about the pressure of the heat. We don't have much the pressure of the heat and the stress conditions. We have another type of pressure. We have some very difficult years with mildew and powdery mildew. Those are the two big diseases. In Carcavelos, the other plot we farm near Lisbon, we have some stresses on the heat. We lost most of the crop this year again. And in Porto Alegre, we have this little problem that when they get attacked, they have the same plant can give you these beautiful, nice bunches where they will grow healthy. And these ones will just die on the way.
Could you explain a little bit about what the grapes are that are there and
Yes. So, and these grapes, the grapes planted in this, by when the time when this was planted about 90 years ago, there was no, and there is still not much the culture of choosing one variety of plot for plot. So the old the old people had an idea of planting as many as different grapes in one vineyard, which would tell you that in a hot year you still have some grapes that will give you acidity. In a very cold year, they will still have richness. And so we have the basic grapes in Porto Alegre. I was showing you this one. This is, wait. It's starting to, the grape has color already. It's inky inside. This is Alicante Boucher. The base for this would be a blend of Alicante, Trincadeira, Grand Noir, Castelão, and there is a tiny plot with whites on the backs that we put in the same one. This is the plot where we have another tiny plot. We also collect grapes from neighbors that we follow, but we don't own the vineyard. We'll go for a tour around to see. I'm just afraid that we might lose some connection. So this year we changed we changed some practices in the vineyard. As So as I was telling, as I was different background, I didn't have anything to do with agriculture. Neither Rita, my wife. So we're facing beginners challenges. So which way to prune the vineyard, how. And when we first rented this vineyard in 2015, the first 3 years were very, very difficult. We lost most of the grapes to some diseases. And but we also believe that doing it the most natural and the most pure way, we're doing our best. So I was saying that this year, if nothing wrong happens, we are having back the hard work we've gave here. We when we rent this vineyard in 2015, the first procedure was not using herbicide that was used in, and it's still used in a very, very large scale around. And we started to cut the grass by hand. And this year we had some pleasant surprise, and I don't know if you can see in the vineyard. Every single one of these is new plants that last year were not here. They they were really reborn because they were either cut or disappeared or they died, and the roots were there. The roots were still alive, so they came back.
Victor, is what came back the rootstock or the
We have
pest?
both because, for example, this one and this one, you have the rootstock. This is just rootstock that will have to be grafted. But in this one, for example, it's from the grafted variety. This will not have to be regrafted. Neither this tiny one. So these ones, what we have to do now before the harvest is get one more of these, the stacks, and plant in any of these ones. So basically the roots were there, the plant died, but the roots were still alive. And where you can see every single stacks, I don't know if you can see by the video. So we were able to place around 1,000 stacks of newborn plants. This one, for example, is it's the rupestris from the original plant that we'll have to graft. It's ready to graft. This one has maybe 2 years or something. Good for graft. So this is and in the meantime there is some spare place because, well, the electric company about 10 years ago, before we bought this, came to put that post, and they thought it would be a good idea to get the machines in this plot of land. So they destroyed some hundreds of plants around here. Can you hear me still?
Yes, we're good. We can hear you.
Okay.
Hey, uh,
Yes.
are there local people who still have a lot of experience in grafting in place on the vine?
Yes. Some. Yeah. Uh, Grafting. There is a very interesting and very strong local culture on viticulture. There is a lot of vineyard, and there is a lot of farmers who have their own vineyard, either to make their own wine or to sell grapes. Grafting is another issue. I think that there are some people that only do grafting, and not about vineyard, not only vineyard, also for every tree, every other fruit.
Right. Complete.
So
Yes.
most of the old people don't really do believe that this will work. But most people I know connected to vineyard and connected to um, most natural practices. They say that there is no point that this wouldn't work. So you can graft 100-year-old plants with any other thing. So Antonio Madeira is doing that in Dão. He's regrafting old plants. So there is no valid reason that this wouldn't work.
Yes, of course. Could you put
You'll-
could you put a little bit while you're talking about this, put these vineyards and the wines that you make here in context of what you're doing in also in other places, like some of our viewers don't know about your wines in Colares and Cacavelos.
Okay. So the wines in Colares, it's this is where it started. This is where we first where we're connecting all our strengths. I'll show you inside the tiny cellar we're doing. This is Formosa, which is called Uva Rei. It gives you huge leaves, and this is one problem that we have also, pH in the soil, that we are connecting this year with chalk on soil that is needed. So this one, it has a curiosity. These grapes, they are picked now, and it's the grapes that the locals call the Christmas grapes, because if we harvest them and we don't break the stem, the stalk, we can hang them in a cool place, and we can eat them fresh in the spring, in the Christmas. They hang for months. So, as I was saying, I'm sorry?
They finish maturing after you pick them. After you pick
No,
them.
you pick them when they're mature, when they're ripe, and they hang for months. It's something I don't know about. I don't know why, but it's called uva rei, that they call the Christmas grape, because they keep fresh for months. So this is the rest of the plot. This is the this part is south faced. This one is north faced, and from here we make two different wines that we put in just one. But in the future, when the wine is when this vineyard is responding well and producing well every year, we will do two different wines with these grapes. This is what I was telling you, correcting the pH in the soil and using chalk this year. We have a problem in the mountains in Portugal with decomposing granite, that the pH levels in the soil are too high. So you see, we have a little bit of sunburn, as Antonio was saying a while ago, but it's not the same as in Carcavelos, because in Carcavelos, when this happened, we lost the grapes. The skeletons are there, just the stalks and whatever is left. So this is where we are based. This is the mountain where we are doing our house. On the other side, we have one other project that I started while I was still a chef, which was Colmial, that you have the last vintage now, 2018. It's a wine made in another mountain in the northern part of Portugal. And let me put this on the side. And
can you tell us exactly which wines are made from these grapes in these vineyards right here? Name the
this vineyard, it's where we use the grapes for Dominó Red, Salão Frio. Salão Frio is the name of the location where we are. And Monte Pratas is made from grapes from one of our neighbors on the other side of this hill. And we have here 2 hectares of vineyard. So when we get to the point where we think it's a fair amount and it's decent amount of grapes, then we will start to produce different labels for this plot. Some of the let me show you one of the plots in the back. If you see that tiny plot over there, it's
Yeah.
one that we will want to regraft all the missing spots with one variety that was used a lot in this area, which is called Mureto. And there is not much Mureto around, but it's a classical grape from Porto Alegre. And we want to replant that. And also another tiny plot we have to ideas to replant with a 100% trincadeira that we will want to do as well.
Victor, let's go see the winery now because we're running out of a little bit of time. We'll go see the building the winery and then we'll switch to.
I was telling you that in this winery we get all our grapes except Carcavelos. So Colmeal we stop. We have as well Colar. Colar is it's a project. I'm sorry, I'm with the sun on my back. So Colars is a project made with sourced grapes we get in a tiny village called Colars. Colars has one appellation where you have sandy soil, ungrafted vineyards, and then you have the clay soils which we use. It's not DOP Colars, it's a different variety. It's Malvasia for the white and Castelão for the red. We also are getting these grapes to work here. So sorry. I'm sorry. I'm very.
Okay.
I'm very nabu, which is not keen in this. So this was the animals. The house is this one. This is our tanks. You see. Hey. This is the house, and this was the what's called the dependencia agrícola, which is the house where you have the animals and the previous owners have anything connected to the work. So we tear down a few walls, and
When was the last time there were animals in there?
I don't know, maybe 20 years ago or something.
Okay.
20, 30 years ago.
The signal's a little bit bad. The signal's a little bit bad. Maybe you want to step out.
And what about now?
Okay, that's better.
I'm out now. Okay. So what I was telling you, it's this is a baby being born. It's not much. It's really just this. There are two more phases of works to be done. This is the first one, and this is our first cellar. It's very it's very emotional for me to look at this. This was really started from the scratch, and this was something that for me 10 years ago was pretty much unimaginable. But from the first time I did the first wine with this vineyard, this started to make a little bit more sense. And okay, so I'm sorry I'm too keen and too shy and not too social to make a very wonderful video. This is our best.
Thank you. That was great, and you know we're right behind you. It looks. Also, when I met you the first time, I didn't think that you would be in this position where you're just making wine and really involved in the
yes,
viticulture.
we first met. I was still in the restaurant.
Still in the restaurant.
And I was far away from, and that was not 10 years ago. That was 5 years ago.
Yeah, that was
4 years ago.
So
I was still not in the mood of thinking that this would be the best.
Right.
But definitely, I wouldn't change this for anything now.
All right, we're going to go to Antonio now. We're going to let Antonio have the floor for a little.
Big hug to Antonio, and I will keep watching.
Okay, great.
He's less shy than me, so he'll be okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Antonio, if you're there, you need to turn on your, yeah, there you go.
Okay. I'm on. You are listening to me. It's
Yes.
okay? Okay. My name is Antonio. Hello, everybody. I'm working in a vineyard. First vineyard here in this farm is planting for my grandfather in '52, and the other parts were planted for my father in the 19th. And I think I will plant my first vineyard in the end of this year or beginning of the next. So we are in the region of Lisbon, about 130 kilometers to north of Lisbon, the city, and 20 kilometers to Atlantic Ocean. So we are here. Now we're looking at the sun because it's the sunset almost, but in front of me there is the ocean, 20 kilometers, and in 1 kilometer or two from here, this is a mountain, limestone mountain. In the soil we have here is clay and limestone. The region of Lisbon is a very long region. It's about 160 kilometers north-south, and between east and west is about between 20 and 40 kilometers. It's a very thin region, but it's between the limestone mountains, about 4 different mountains. This is one, Serradinha, and the Atlantic Ocean in the other part. So it's the climate is Atlantic, and the soil is clay, and limestone. I work here in the vineyards of planted for my grandfather and my father. My father starting working in organic in '78, and the first year of certification was '94. So it's organic agriculture, which is the only agriculture that I know, because I didn't study agriculture. I know enology. I study economics. So the agriculture that I know, it's the organic. It's for me, it's easy to work, and that's what I pretended to work all my life. Here in this part of the vineyard, we have 2 different whites and 3 different reds, and in the other parts there is about 3 reds and another 2 whites. And in the old vineyard from my grandfather is a coup plantation. For my grandfather is a coup plantation of Baga, the first the mainest grape, and after we have 15% of white grapes and more 5 different red grapes, and we call this wine Vinhas Velhas. It's a wine from the vineyard. In this part we harvest separately, and we vinification separately, and then you make the blend in the cellar. It's a different kind of make a blend. You can make a blend in a vineyard or in a cellar. I make the 2 things here, and this part is Castelão. It's a grape that I love very, very much, but it's very sensitive to the heat and to the hot weather. Last 5 days we have about 38, 40 degrees of temperature, and we lost some grapes with the heat. We lost, like you can see here, this is burning from the heat. Or here, this is burning from the heat. Well, this is here I make a wine that we call Castelão and the others. We can go to the other part. It's Serradinha. Here. If you have any question, you can make it, of course. You can see the soil. The soil is always with the grass. We never take the grass out. It's a soil that it's what I call a living soil. We don't we take the grass and we don't move the soil. What we pretend to do this is keeping the life in the soil. This way we can the living soil can always when you cut the grass, the roots of the grass stay in the earth, in the soil, and the animals can make it decompose the herbs and making nutrients for the plants for the vineyard. That's what I'm looking always in organic. It's a good balance between the soil and the plants.
Antonio, can you talk about the cover crops a little bit? You let them grow naturally, or do you do any planting?
Yes, when well, we never give water to the plants, of course. We want the roots go very down and working near the rocks to give the minerality of limestone. When we lose some plants, and here you can see we lose here 3 plants, you put the root stocks. Okay, this was planted this year, so it's not yet very strong, but in next year or in 2 years, in 2022, we will craft a new plant here. We prefer to craft the plants in the soil, in the land. Don't buy already the plants already crafted. That's the way that we like to work, because I like to always to choose the plant that I will craft. Also, so it's important for us. Here we can see the other vineyard. This one was planted in 94, and this one was planted in 98. This one below, and this is about 4 hectares of vineyards planted for my grandfather, and 2.5 hectares planted for my grandfather. This year, last year, we have already a little problem with the birds that they like grapes, and that's I can show you here. Here you can see this is the grapes that the birds already eat, and we don't have too much sugar now, but I think it's because of the source that they like to eat the grapes. And because I have a lot of pinos here and a lot of birds, so they like to eat the grapes. So I can talk a little more about the work here. Me and Guilherme, it's a guy that worked with me since 3 years ago. In the year, normally you work alone, 2 persons. In the harvest time, we have the help of more 6 persons to help the harvest, and sometimes one more in the cellar to help the vinification. We go now to the cellar to see a little of the part of the vinification. This is a farm. Is about 20 hectares total and 6 hectares and half of vineyards. I don't do any other agriculture. Sometimes I make some cereals and I make some horticulture, but just for us, not for to sell. This is the part of the cellar. We try to harvest with fresh weather in the morning to keep the grapes fresh to start the vinification. Then we destamp always the grapes, because the stamp here, because of the fresh weather, is very green. It's difficult to get a good maturation in with the stamps. And then we make here the vinification. Normally, this is wood and round, and it's open. To make a pisage, we make a pisage for normally 1 time in a day. If it's too hot, 2 times. And we make the vinification here, the fermentation between 6 and 12 days. It depends on the grape, normally, depends on the wine that you want to make it. For the reds. For the whites, we make in the concrete. These concrete tanks, we make always a pisage with the grapes, with white grapes. And we make the little maceration between 2 and 5 days to the white grapes. And I use the stainless steel to make the blends before bottling. Normally, the wines stay here between 2 and 4 weeks before bottling to help to clean and to help to make the assemblage of all the different barrels that we have here. Normally, we make for the whites, we use 225 liters. For the reds, we use the 600 barrels or bigger, bigger between 14 and 24 liters. And for the rolls, we use this little it's a medium amphora, about 900 liters. It's an amphora that my father bought in '99, and I use for the rolls. And my father used for the whites, make maceration in the whites, big maceration. I don't like too much. I prefer to make a simple maceration between 2 and 5 days. This is for the reds. This is 21 hectoliters. And then we have another one for 18 hectoliters, 24 hectoliters, and 14 hectoliters. And then we have a lot of bottles because we believe that it's important to make good élevage in bottles. So for the whites, we make about 1 year in the bottles before selling, 1 year in barrels, 1 year in bottles. And for the reds, it depends between 2 and 5 years in bottles before selling. And that's it. Any question?
Antonio, you're bottling everything without filtration or fining?
No, we just normally we don't make any. You can hear me?
Yeah, you're fine. You're
okay,
good.
Sorry. Normally we make a little of sulfites before fermentation and before bottling. So the wines normally have between 15 and 30 milligrams of sulfites. And that's the only thing that you use about enologic products. And I don't believe in the physical ways to work in the wines. We don't use the cold to make wines. We don't make filtrations or decantations or nothing about that. Just normally for the here in these two stainless steels, I have the white Argentine Fernão Pires 19, and here the old Vineyard 19. So we use here to help to clean and to make assemblage of all different barrels, and then we bottle. I like to have my white wines clean, but I never filter. Sometimes I have a little more, less clean, but never filter. Any more questions?
I think there's maybe some other questions. We'll bring Victor back, and maybe we'll ask both of you some questions that would be perfect.
Okay.
In the meantime, you can tell us, for you, is this year looking unusually early for harvest?
Hello?
Yeah. You're both in here.
Yes?
I was asking Antonio, and for both of you, is this year looking to be an unusually early harvest?
No, not much. It's sorry.
Now I hear you. That's fine.
Espera só um bocadinho. Já dou. Espera. Sorry. So, we since 2010. Sorry, is sorry. So since 2010, the first vintage, we always harvest on the same weekend. And because I have my job, I didn't have the spare time I wanted. And because the locals couldn't harvest any day of the week, they could only harvest on weekends. We always harvest on the first weekend of December, of September. And since then, only 2016, we had to harvest 1 week before. We harvest in the last weekend of August. And that was due because we felt that the wines were the grapes were too stressed and it was too hot. And in the end, it was not. We harvested 1 week prior than what we should. And we can taste that in wine. And this year is pretty much the same. We're harvesting unless there is something very weird to happen, and we don't know. After everything that we've seen. Sorry.
Let's not think the weird thing that might happen because all the weird things have happened this year. So, like,
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, you couldn't hear me. I was saying, don't talk about the weird thing that might happen because we've had a lot of weird
Yes,
things.
after this, I have the first 3 months of this year were you were here when I told you I had the most frightening 3 months one can imagine. After the first 3 months, then we had the COVID. So now let's wait to see if anything strikes now and very super hot heat comes in, and then we decide that we need to harvest sooner. But I'm pointing out with the farmers that sources grapes since April. We're pointing out for the same time. We noticed that flowering came early. The buds came out earlier, but then everything came back to normal. And well, as you can see, we don't have any. We don't even have the veraison, so there's no signs that it should be any sooner than it used to be.
And
What
Antonio,
about
is
you,
there?
Antonio?
Yeah, Antonio, do you think it's an unusually early harvest for you?
Yes, I think this year, I think I will harvest between 1 week or 2 weeks before the medium time of the harvest. We had a little of what in the springtime, but it's the most important thing for this is for in the beginning of the green time of the harvest was very early. In the February, the vineyard starting to work. And since then, I think in the middle of the springtime, I feel that was very, very early, but now I think it will be between 1 or 2 weeks more early than usual.
Okay. I think that's it. I don't think there's any more questions, and everybody was here and listened, and it was a great visit with you guys. Good to see you both.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good to see you
I
again.
did my best, as I said.
Yes.
And we will be back. We will show you videos when the cellar is ready, when the barrels are clean, when the fooders are inside, when the vats are full of grapes. I will do another virtual tour and send you by email.
All right, great. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much. You.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you.
Good to see you both.
Thank you. Thank you very
Bye.
much. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.